survivors of Suicide Loss Day being hosted by Donation Foundation. My name is Stan Bishop, and I'm the Research and Proposal Director for Donation Foundation. International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day, also called Survivors Day, was observed yesterday, Saturday, November 20th, and is an event in which survivors of suicide loss come together to find connection, understanding, and hope through their shared experience. In our St. Lucian society, suicide is among one of the main concerns that confront us. Many of us know someone who has lost their lives via that unfortunate route. We sympathize with you. We also hope that this panel discussion will offer courage and strength to those who confront this challenge daily, and trust that you continue to reach out for assistance when the burden gets too much to bear. Reach out to a family member, friend, or professional who can offer you the help you need. You can also call the helpline at 203 for mental and emotional support. Our sponsors for today's panel discussion are GBD TV, Where Ladies Talk, Definition Media, and Jared's Keepers Foundation. Today, my panelists seek to enlighten you about this serious matter that warrants deeper national attention. Allow me to introduce them. Deb Martin is the founder and president of Jared's Keepers Foundation, Inc., founded in 2014 following the death of her 17-year-old son, Jared. Along with students from around the world, Deb has created a tested program that prevents suicides in our youth population. The Keeper Club program is embedded in the schools and voluntary for any student who feels comfortable with bringing awareness to mental health issues and supporting their peers. Students are taught peer empowerment and trained in the QPR for Teens program, as well as developing a suicide prevention program for the school. Deb works in partnerships with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the NAMI, Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network, and serves on the board for the Illinois Suicide Prevention Alliance and on their committee for state mandates for schools. Today, Deb travels and talks to students about suicide prevention through a talk she calls Finding the Positive Perspective. The talk focuses on looking at issues from multiple points of view, respecting different viewpoints, and finding a way to see a positive perspective. Since COVID has hit the United States, we have seen 4 times as many deaths to suicide, she says. This global pandemic has flamed the epidemic of suicide. We must band together globally to fight this, unquote. Deb openly shares her grief in a public blog and through her articles published by the online grief magazine, The Grief Toolbox. Thanks for joining us, Deb. After completing her associate's degree in nursing from the Sorata Lewis Community College, Jana Felix Edward gained employment at the Golden Hope Hospital. 2 years later, she assisted with the move of the mental health facility at La Toc Road to the St. Lucian National Mental Health National Wellness Center. There she served as staff nurse 1 for a few years before being asked to assist with management of a unit alongside the charge nurse. During this period, Felix Edward pursued supervisory management courses in addition to supplementary mental health courses. She soon was promoted to the position of a charge nurse and managed a few units at the center. She has since successfully completed a number of PAHO courses in relation to mental health. She has also successfully completed her bachelor's degree in nursing. After about 8 years in the mental health field, Felix Edward developed a strong desire to sensitize the public on mental illness in an effort to end the strong stigma that exists. As such, she has embarked on numerous activities such as radio and television programs, news clips, educational videos, school visits, private establishment visitors, and volunteers programs. With over 14 years service in the mental health field, Felix Edward expects to continue public sensitization while adding the importance of preservation of life, especially for persons who have considered, attempted, and survived, and families of persons who have completed suicide. Felix Edward plans to continue her studies in mental health in hopes of continuing to make a difference in the lives of and being a voice for persons who have been stigmatized, underprivileged, and underestimated due to their mental illness. Welcome, Mrs. Felix Edward. Our third panelist is Initha Boland, and she's a certified counselor from the University of West Indies and a member of the Allied Health Council of St. Lucia. She's been married for 25 years and blessed to be the proud mother of two wonderful young adults. Boland started her practice, Omega Counseling Center, in 2015. Her passion for helping others began as a teenager, and she has pursued alternative forms of therapy over the years, including massage and reflexology. However, her faith in God has always kept her stable and focused and has been her ultimate guide for intervention and developing creative methods tailored to the individual needs of her clients. Boland's expertise includes the use of clinically tested and evidence-based interventions when dealing with issues such as, but not limited to, substance abuse, mental health, depression, relationship and family therapy, grief counseling, and vulnerable youth. Boland's training as a counselor has taught her patience and empathy towards all individuals without partiality, as she's had the opportunity to work with a broad spectrum ranging from inmates at the Borderley Correctional Facility to young girls at the Growell Inc. Center at Rosalie. Welcome, Mrs. Boland. Stephen Edward is a family caseworker at Division of Human Services from 2012. He works in the Soufrière and Choiseul region. He completed a BSc in social work in 2012 and an MSc counseling psychology in 2017. He is a registered counseling psychologist with Allied Health and owner of Uprising Psychological and Consultancy Services. Welcome, Mr. Edward. Donami Matthew is a community mental health nurse employed with the Ministry of Health in Region 6 with a passion about making developments in the field to improve standards of care. She is a qualified master's degree psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and her skills are used to make mental health care more acceptable, equitable, and accessible to all members of the community. She listens without judgment to attract and care for various groups of clients. Matthew's philosophy has been to view the individual as a complete being with various parts, that is spiritual, mental, and physical, requiring implementation of holistic measures for treatment and care. She's currently pursuing an undergraduate degree in health science administration that would assist in equipping her with the knowledge and competence to lead. Welcome, Ms. Matthew. So welcome and good day, panelists, and thanks for joining us in this discussion. As you can see, viewers, my panelists are very well versed in the subject we'll be discussing for the next hour. So I guess we can begin the discussion by starting with Mrs. Boland. What is suicide and what are the causes?
Good day, thanks for having me. I'd like to acknowledge the other panelists and thanks for the opportunity to speak on this matter.
Ms. Boland, I think your mic is off. Mrs. Boland, your mic is off, I think.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, excellent. sorry. So suicide has been deemed to be the death caused by injuring oneself with the intent to die. There are many causes of suicide, ranging from shame and guilt. Many people have questions that they can't find the answers to. A lack of information and knowledge of coping mechanisms also contributes to that. Mental illness and many disorders also are reasons why people succumb to suicide or come to the conclusion that the only way to cope with issues and stress is to take their own life.
And having been in the field for so many years, Mrs. Boland, can you tell us what are some of the prevailing conditions in terms of what you see happening in most cases in terms of the causes, and how do you use your expertise to actually help curb those issues?
Right. A lot of times, it's with my experience, I find people find themselves in a place where they don't have enough knowledge and information on how to cope with whatever it is that they're going through. So if your condition changes, whether it's mentally, financially, socially, people just don't know how to cope with what happens to them in this life. Of course, we have one of the main reasons being shame and guilt, and just not knowing how to move forward. The stigmas attached to these emotions also don't help, because people tend to not seek help, which is the main reason why they find themselves alone and making decisions that don't help them. So instead of reaching out to someone, they have these concepts and they process information to themselves, by themselves, for themselves, without the influence of someone who can help or someone who's trained, whether it's a counselor or a pastor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Hello?
Hi, Miss Boland.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting that feedback. Sorry about that. Is that from me?
No, that's somebody else.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Boland. Miss Matthew, being a community mental health nurse, you listed that your philosophy has been to view the individual as a complete being with various parts, that's spiritual, mental, physical, requiring implementation of holistic measures for treatment and care. Can you tell us, so for example, somebody who would have contemplated suicide and then they reach out to your unit for care, what are some of the basic steps that are taken towards assisting that person?
Okay, depending on the level at which they are coming into us, they would either be placed in emergency. So if it's a case where they have a plan and they have a time and is ready to act, then it is an emergency situation where they would be taken through emergency and St. Lucia, the mental hospital. If they are on a milder state where they come to us in the community and they require just talking, first we have to assess where they are. So sometimes when we speak to persons, they are dealing with depression and some other mental illness, anxiety. Some persons are just overwhelmed with the financial strain. And when given the opportunity to speak, then we understand that what they are really dealing with is not being able to feed their children for that day or that week, or just not being able to sleep. Some persons are the breadwinners and they feel obligated to always be the strong one, always having to have everything together and always making the environment pleasing for everyone around them. And they need help, and it's difficult for the strong person in the group to seek help. And sometimes when they're given the opportunity, it takes them a while just to open up and be vulnerable enough to gain that help. So based on how the person comes to us, we start on that point and trying to investigate what is happening from that person's perspective, and then we would direct them to whatever resources that is needed for them at the time.
And Nurse Matthew, would you say that with the advent of COVID, I mean, obviously you would have been inundated with those kinds of with those situations where people need more assistance, because the financial, the mental, even the medical, they've all conspired to actually disrupt people's lives. And how do your ministry actually cope to actually alleviate the stresses brought on by COVID?
Yeah, definitely. It takes more than just one sector in the system to help, because like we said, if we meet an individual with physical needs, then we have to redirect them to persons who can assist them physically. If we meet persons with physical health needs, like they are unable to pay for their medications, that they are able to, that help them with pain, sicklers, people who go into crisis, diabetics, then we direct them to the resources needed. Now we have persons who have been isolated and have never experienced being so isolated away from groups, always a social butterfly, and now they are forced to hibernate into one area, and you find that persons did not prepare. Unlike we are used to hurricanes and we get the notices, prepare for that, put your things together. We were not prepared for the pandemic. We're not prepared for the physical aspects of the pandemic, nor the emotional aspects of the pandemic. Persons who are forced to learn themselves, learn their strengths, and to be able to deal with it in real time. And some persons, unfortunately or fortunately, have not been able to do that, have not been able to reach to a point where they can set a balance and continue life like they know it, because it took them so quickly.
Thank you so much, Nurse. Mr. Edward, as a psychologist, I know in St. Lucian Society, even dating back to long before now, there's always been this stigma to whenever somebody has a mental issue, people make fun of that. So invariably you found bullying leading to people contemplating suicide. What do you think needs to be done, or more needs to be done? What more needs to be done to actually create more awareness among people that this habit or this practice needs to be stamped out? Because in many cases, people would have left messages or WhatsApp or Facebook their friends before they actually contemplate or even completed suicide. What do we need to change first and foremost, or maybe at last, to actually stamp out this practice that even turns out deadly? Mr. Edward?
Yeah. You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. First of all, we can never go wrong with education. We need to educate the populace. That thing of people just making fun of people with mental health issue is a serious problem in St. Lucia. People have not understood what mental health is. People, or those who understand, they tend not to probably pass on the knowledge sufficiently or well to the other citizenry. that mental health issue can affect anybody at any time, right? Sometime it might be somebody today, tomorrow it could be you. Mental health issue is a very serious thing in St. Lucia, and the population, the citizens of St. Lucia needs to understand mental health issue, and that they should not make fun of these people, and that they should go out and help these people as much as possible. You spoke about the living notes and these things. Some people are not taking that seriously, but whoever is listening to me, I want them to understand that whenever somebody says that they are contemplating, they're thinking they will commit suicide, these things needs to be taken seriously. It needs to be taken seriously, and then refer that person to a professional. If at the time you cannot, stay there with the person, engage the person in a conversation, or you can call 203. This is a free call to everyone who calls that number. Is free. And then have the person, have the operator, or whoever answers the call, have a conversation with that person. But if for you, your role is not to argue with the person, tell the person, hey, you cannot do that, or you should. That's not your role. Your role is to ensure that the person is safe and that the person gets the help immediately. We need to take that seriously. Do not take it as a joke. Somebody tells you, I'm contemplating serious, do not take it as a joke. Seek immediate help to that person. Let a professional person deal with this issue.
I'm glad you said that, Mr. Edward, because another common practice is that the fact that the person would have told you 1,000,000 times in 3 years that they're contemplating, many people seem to think, well, what's different from the last 15 or 30 million times you said it? So you're saying that every time somebody actually tells you about those contemplations, that they should take that seriously.
Take it seriously.
Don't even go with the past, go with the present.
Go with present. What happening now? Seek help. Ensure the person's safe, and then seek help. Call 203. A professional. If you cannot get a professional, you call 203. Or if none of these things are available, you do not have a phone, just engage the person in a conversation. Just let the person speak. Just speak. Ask open-ended questions. Just speak. Just to help the person until you are in a place and where you can provide, or you can refer that person to someone to help that person. But then, whether it be the hospital, whether it be 203, whether it be a professional counselor or somebody, but you need to take that threat.
And good day, Ms. Martin. You would have lost your son to suicide, and we commiserate with that. But what you've done in his memory, you've actually named a foundation or started a foundation in his name. Can you tell us a little more about that? How the step-by-step came with your son's unfortunate passing, and quickening a mother who wants to immortalize her son by starting a foundation to help other young people.
Yes, good day. Thank you for having me. I'm honored. Jared was 17 and a rising senior on the island of St. Croix when we lost him. And my first thought was not starting a foundation, let alone even getting out of bed after I lost him. It wasn't until the students and teenagers from literally around the globe, from St. Croix to the US, to Australia and beyond, shared with me that they struggled too. And when I learned that Jared was the 5th from his previous school in 5 years, it really concerned me. And then I got mad because I felt like, why wasn't I told this as a parent? Why wasn't that information shared with me? As a parent, why didn't the pediatrician share with me that when Jared entered a certain age group, his probability of attempting or completing a suicide was really astronomical, odds. Why didn't the school tell me that, we had, like I said, Jared was 5 in 5 years that we lost. We had in his class alone over 29 attempts. We lost 9 parents out of that class, but none of that was made public, let alone brought to the attention of what I feel the class parents should have known. We should have been told, we've got a problem, let's band together and figure this out together and support these students. So the foundation actually was born out of the teens needing some support. They banded together and they wanted to make a change. And if any of you are parents, you know that when your kids come to you and they need something, that you're there to support them. And they wanted to do this in honor of Jared because they felt like if Jared could take his life, it could happen to any one of them at any time. And I think that's the most important thing for us to take away is suicide does not discriminate. It doesn't care what color our skin is. It doesn't care what our bank accounts look like. It certainly doesn't care what part of the globe we live in. It is going to come and try to attack us at some point. And kind of going back to what the previous speakers have said, the stigma around suicide and mental health in general is so overwhelming, and it's not a regional issue, it's a global issue. The stigma is horrible. And so young people see this stigma, and of course they don't want to reach out for help because then they're crazy. And adults go through the same thing. And until we can get the young people in our life to understand it's okay and there is no stigma, it's much better. You'll go to the hospital.
The stigma is horrible. And so young people see this stigma, and of course they don't want to reach out for help
for your mental health issue. So I pray each and every day we only have temporary mental health issues of temporary depression, but in a post-pandemic world, it's far worse than temporary at this point.
And can you say what your organization has been able to change or propose and cause some change in the system that maybe even us in St. Lucia can actually adopt?
Yes. So again, going back to what the students felt that they needed, the number one thing they needed was the schools to listen to them. And even in Jared's school, after losing 5 in 5 years, they didn't want to listen. So the students in Tennessee got together and created a law called Jared's Law now. And it mandates training for every school employees, from janitors, bus drivers, anyone that has anything to do with the school on suicide prevention. It also requires annual training. And it requires all schools to have a prevention plan, an intervention plan, and a postvention plan. Most of the states here in the US have some sort of suicide prevention mandate. However, they're very weak in their mandates. And it's just another mandate in the eyes of a lot of school districts.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Morton, and we hope that we have a close affinity with your organization, and we hope to actually collaborate with you more, because we actually want to create an environment in St. Lucia dovetailing with what you've actually proposed and actually were able to accomplish, because we have a serious problem here and we really need to stamp it out, and we don't just want to speak about it as some people think only when it happens. It's unfortunate enough that people are contemplating suicide, and it's even worse when they complete it. So we want to make sure that we always create that voice, that ever-present voice, to actually give people choices when they come to that part in their lives. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Anybody needs to make any statements regarding families? How do families cope? Well, for example, how do they see the signs before they even end up coping with the tragic ends? Or how do we look out for the signs? What do we look for?
From a teen standpoint, we have learned that teens will give away their favorite clothing item, maybe their favorite hat. They tend to be very generous with their friends. They may host gatherings with their friends just to let them know how much they care. At school districts, this is why we push to have mandatory training for everyone, is teenagers will clean out lockers, clean out school supplies so that other people don't have to do that for them. If they have a car, often they'll clean out their cars so that their family members won't have to deal with that. From the teen standpoint, that's what we found.
Thank you so much. Ms. Johnny Edwards, you would have worked at Golden Hope Hospital. I think that hospital is no longer in existence, correct?
You're right, yes.
Right.
But
And can you tell us about because I mean, that was on my way, that hospital was on my way to the School of Music I was attending at the time. And every time I passed at that place, I would actually, something in my throat just lumped because I've always thought about, I mean, at one point I actually went into the building because I personally was going through a difficult time once, and a friend of mine suggested that you bring me there to speak to someone. So can you tell us about the experiences there and some of the transformations, that the situations you would have seen there and some of the transformations you would have been able to accomplish in people's lives?
well, the physical environment at Golden Hope Hospital wasn't very conducive to maintaining proper wellness of an individual. And so there was a very big need to improve on this. And this is why it became so necessary for the move over to mental wellness center happened. There wasn't enough space for the clients. Even things like the toilet facilities were not proper for the clients. The outpatient clinic area, it was too congested, and it prevented staff, and I say staff holistically because everybody plays an important role in a client's care. It prevented them from providing the best quality care that the clients could have received. And so therefore it became necessary to move over to wellness center. And at wellness center, the care is significantly better than what you would have received at mental wellness center. In addition to the change in the physical environment, there are also many positions at mental wellness that did not exist at Golden Hope Hospital. So before there was just a psychologist, the psychiatrist, the counselor and the registrar. But since then there's a psychotherapist. At one point we had a psychologist as well. We have occupational therapy. There are many areas of skill set, different skill sets that are merged to ensure that the client's needs are met holistically when they're admitted, and even when they're not admitted, if they come in as an outpatient basis.
Okay. And so you're saying, well, you're saying the conditions have actually gotten better, but
Significantly.
Someone looking in or even looking outside would see that we still have a situation where we find people who are mentally challenged are either on the streets, fending for themselves, and sometimes you get the response to that well, the guys don't want to stay there, or the women don't want to stay there. How can we, for example, like just this week, I heard that the government is planning to build to have a building erected somewhere in Union where we can actually have folks who are mentally challenged as well as homeless brought to that facility. Am I correct?
Well, I haven't heard official news on that. However, things are significantly better. However, when it comes to the clients being at mental wellness center, we have to remember that it's a hospital and not a home. And so at some point, they need to be discharged to a family member. The issue is that a lot of family members don't have support to care for clients with mental illnesses. And so they get very frustrated. They feel very hopeless and very alone. And in the recent past, there wasn't very much support available to them. The support is somewhat available now, it's just very limited. And then we have to consider the staffing issues within the governmental sectors. And so it makes it very difficult to reach out to every single individual. So you find that resources are very, very stretched in the government sector. But I would like to say that the mental health team is working tediously to make sure that we reach out to all family members and all patients to provide support to them in whatever means that we can.
We certainly want to thank everyone for doing their part to actually alleviate the problem, because we know it. I mean, even with even before COVID, we had these stressful situations, and then now you find people, you know, they're very mentally strained, and each of us have to be our brothers and sisters keepers. Right now I want to just do a short review of Where Ladies Talk. And Where Ladies Talk is a movement that was starting in 2019 to provide a safe space for ladies to communicate with and provide support to each other. Whilst this movement started as a group on Facebook, they now have a membership of 1.8 thousand people that provide support on both a personal and business level. To date, they have been able to host the following activities. One, a business month workshop, Where Ladies Talk seminars, entrepreneur grouping for sharing information daily, healthy lifestyles that includes a group that meets daily to walk and exercise, back to school project where they donate school items for free. And they also provide hampers to single mothers who have lost their jobs due to COVID. Being part of Donation Foundation, I know that we don't just do stuff for folks or provide the assistance of folks on just a financial level. We also try to reach out to resource people who can provide that psychosocial support to people who are very much in need of it. So things like going to the Waterley Correctional Facility, Boys Training Center, even the hospitals, the police stations, with the frontline workers right now being under a heavy strain to actually provide the services that are needed. We have plans for them as well. So we're trying to do as much as we can to alleviate this mental burden. With COVID cases going down, we've noticed that people have begun to feel a little more, relieved, and we hope that those numbers continue to go down. But we just want to re-emphasize that suicide, it's a very serious matter, and that folks should not be taking it lightly. If you really love somebody and they're close to you, or even if it's a friend or a neighbor that you don't even get along with, there's a lot of pain that follows suicide. And we also want to create that awareness where people should not be calling people who have mental illnesses the various names, in St. Lucian, especially in St. Lucian parlance. People are people, people are people. I've seen cases where, you're walking in town and you get attacked by somebody, and then it's somebody who is homeless or mentally unstable that would come and assist you, so we must not discount and dismiss people. We should take all the signs seriously and don't just say, well, oh, I've heard that before. So we want to really thank all of our panelists for being with us today. Any closing remarks you want to make? So we can go in any particular order.
I think we need to create safe spaces, not just for children, for every age group, even on the job, that persons can easily express how they feel. Persons go and they are afraid that they may lose their job, and persons even in mental health professions are afraid to speak out on how they feel because they are the ones who are supposed to be the stronger ones. And creating the safe space that persons can speak freely and express themselves allows you the opportunity to know what the needs are. And not, we do it for the very young, we need to do it for every age group and every area that we work in and we are involved in.
I just want to address our men. Our men this pandemic has affected our men a lot. It has caused them a lot of emotional pain. Reason being, a lot of them lose their jobs. A lot of them financially, they could not provide for their family. So as a result of that, the stress level went up. Now, one thing with men, they do not like to speak to other people about their problems, especially problems when in relation to their homes. So I'm encouraging the men, whatever you are going through, whatever problems you may be going through, please speak to somebody who can assist you. Get a counselor, get a psychologist, get somebody you trust to help you navigate through this period. The anxiety, the stress, the depression, whatever it is, men, please find a way to speak to somebody or seek help. Do not have too much pride in seeking help. Seek the help, because if not, the burden might be too much for you, and then you might end up, unfortunately, committing suicide, and which is what we do not want. So please, I'm begging you, I'm asking you, seek professional help, whatever stress, whatever problems, whatever anxiety you're going through. We know the pandemic was difficult on you because society has placed men in the way. So as view men as the sole breadwinner, not the sole, but the breadwinner. And a lot of men, they were not able to perform this role. So as a result of that, they got a lot of stress. And as a result, I want them to please come forward and talk. Let us talk. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
I would just like to say, for the young people, take them seriously. As we've said earlier, just take them seriously. They're under a lot of stress that we don't realize. Social media has added stress, stigma has added stress, and they see the stress in the home. Just as Mr. Edward talked about, they see that stress, they feel that stress, and then they internalize it. And some of them don't know that it's okay to talk about.
Thank you so much, Deb.
I would just like to say that if there's anyone attempting or contemplating suicide, I know it's a place where you feel hopeless and you feel as if, there's nothing else that can be done about your situation. I would like to speak with those people to say that there are ways and means of getting out of that. It's a place where you feel trapped and it seems like you can't get out of that place. Usually it's a place of silence and secrecy, and you don't want to talk about it, which is the very same reason why people make decisions to go ahead on their own and commit suicide and take those measures. But there is always, with knowledge and help, there is always a way of getting out and understanding what you're going through. apart from the fact that you're not the only one going through it, there are many people, and even now, many more people who never thought they would find themselves in that situation have now found themselves in that situation. I mean, it's one thing to say someone is suicidal and, you know, you deal with that, but now what about those who have been forced into those hard places where they have lost their jobs and it just seems like there's no hope. There is hope, and with the right information and with help and processing and changing your perception on the immediate situation and looking forward to the future, that things can change. It's also up to us to help our brothers and sisters. And I must say, all the groups that assist in those areas, kudos to you. Keep up the good work. And there are counselors, psychologists, pastors, friends, sisters, brothers. We're here to help. Don't suffer in silence and alone. So if we could all help each other, then I think we could reduce the number of suicidal attempts and actual suicides that take place. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Boland.
I just wanted to implore to the public to be more selfless and more observant and more mindful, so we don't miss out on the signs of suicide. There are situations, there are times where persons just randomly commit suicide and complete it, but in most instances, persons, there are signs. They, like Miss Martin said, the teenagers would give away their stuff. We have persons who would randomly call you. You don't expect a call from them. You haven't spoken to them in forever, but they would, you know how much I love you. I just wanted to tell you how much I love you. I wanted to apologize to you for whatever it is that I did. Other than giving away their stuff, they've been sad for an extremely long time, and all of a sudden they're extremely happy. You find that they don't go out as much. They're ignoring your calls. If you're accustomed to hearing from them all the time, check up on them, call them, go see them. If you cannot do it, call somebody you know who can. If you really know you can't, the toll-free line is not just for persons who are suicidal. It is for you who think you know somebody who is suicidal. The 2 or 3 persons would call them. They would talk to them. And there are services that are available for those persons who have lost their jobs, for those persons who are no longer financially stable. There are services, governmental services available that are free of charge. So they don't have to worry about the financial burdens of having to pay a counselor or a psychotherapist or anybody. It is free of charge. It's a non-judgmental service that is going to be available to everybody. So I just think it's really important. If I know this time is really difficult for persons, because persons have lost their jobs, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do for their family. They themselves are going through depression and anxieties and fears of their own. But a very small act of kindness can go a very long way.
Thank you so much, Ms. Edward, for the comments, and thanks to all the panelists for their very enriching comments and contributions today. We do hope that those comments actually meet the ears and of those who are very much in need, especially the people who can be of support to the people who really need that assistance. And don't think that you don't have the time. You know, don't think that you don't have the time. Check your friends' WhatsApp status and their Facebook status to see if they're putting up those cryptic signs. You're never too busy to find out. I mean, a lot of times I get into trouble with my friends because I'm very nosy when I see certain cryptic messages, and I message them and they go like, Stan, stay out of my business. And I go like, well, I'm just checking up to find out whether, you're all right. Yes, Stan, I'm okay. Don't worry. And I'm able to talk them out of certain situations. So yes, the same way people watch my shoulder, I try as much as possible to watch theirs. So thank you so much for your comments. At this point, we will be listening to a theme song for today's session. So GBD TV will be playing that song anytime now. If not, we can get a vote of thanks from Ms. Portia Felix. Ms. Portia Felix.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Cause your drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain, when I believed in forever and everything would stay the same. Now my heart feel like December when somebody say your name. Cause I can't reach out and call you, but I know I will one day. Yeah, everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. But everything gon' be alright. Go and raise a glass and say, hey, here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I never felt so lost, when I felt all of the hatred was too powerful to stop. Now my heart feel like an ember and it's lighting up the dark. I carry these torches for you that you know I'll never drop. Yeah, everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. But everything gon' be alright. Go and raise a glass and say, hey, here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you.
That's right. We dedicate that song to the memories of those we would have lost, and we also want to strengthen and encourage those who are still with us, that they mean much to us and that they matter, and that whenever they face situations, the first thing they should do is reach out to us, because that's why we're there. We want to make them living memories, right? So thanks again so much. At this point, Ms. Portia Gustav will deliver the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Dan. Good afternoon, everybody. So it was really an inspiring discussion this afternoon. I wish it could have gone longer because maybe there are a few questions that we could have answered. But we appreciate the time that you have spent with us, and on behalf of the Nation Foundation, we would like to thank Mrs. Martin, Miss Matthew, and Mrs. Holland, Mr. Edward, and Mrs. Edward. We would also like to thank the members of Where Ladies Talk and Jared Keepers Foundation, GBD TV also, and also the members of the Donation Foundation. Indeed, we have learned a lot this afternoon, and if it's one thing we can keep in mind is to be mindful of the signs that persons display and do not ignore the threats that they may make and they may say to you about ending their life. Seek some help for them, because you never know, the life you may save may very well be your own. So I would like to say again a heartfelt thank you to everyone who came on this afternoon and those who tuned.
Thank you so much, Portia, and thanks so much again, finally, my panelists. You've been very informative, and like I said, I know that folks who would have been listening would have followed that message, and also they would share the message and folks, if you're viewing, you see their names and their job titles in some cases, you can also reach out to them for these services, because it's better to reach out rather than, you're not being there with us. We want you to be here with us. When COVID is over, we'll need a collective hands to actually rebuild our country, our world. And so everybody's needed. Everybody's important. I want to thank all of our panelists, especially Mrs. Martin, who is joining us from overseas as well. So thanks again, and we hope that, like I said, this message gets broadcasted far and wide. And blessings again, and I just want to encourage everybody to continue choosing life. Choose life. Thanks again. Bye.
Thank you.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain, when I believed in forever and everything would stay the same. Now my heart feel like December when somebody say your name. Cause I can't reach out to call you, but I know I will one day. Yeah, everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. But everything gon' be alright. Go and raise a glass and say, hey, here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I never felt so lost, when I felt all of the hatred was too powerful to stop. Now my heart feel like an ember and it's lighting up the dark. I carry these torches for you that you know I'll never drop. Yeah, everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. But everything gon' be alright. Go and raise a glass and say, hey, here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you.